Hello, Rockford. I want to thank you for taking time to help think about your new public library. As an architect, everyone thinks that we start thinking about bricks and mortar, glass and steel when we start talking about building. And really the idea is to start thinking about a library as a place that helps people improve their lives. And so we're starting today thinking about your new public library, thinking about the ways that each of you want to use your building. And that starts with thinking about the spaces and, more importantly, the services that happen within those spaces. So if you're a longtime library user and there's a part of library service that you just treasure beyond belief, or if you rarely use the library and there's something that you wish the library would do to help you, to help your family, to help your neighbors, this is a great time to provide all of that input. We're really soliciting ways to understand how the library can help you make for a better life for you and your family, your neighbors, your fellow citizens. So when we start thinking about libraries, we look around and see what other libraries are doing. This is a great time for library service, all sorts of innovations. People are trying things that we don't often associate with libraries. They're trying things that in many ways are alterations on what libraries have done for centuries. But in the end, it's a time to think about critically whether or not some of those services make sense for each and every one of you. So the point of this is to spur a little of your imagination. If you've been to other great libraries and want to talk about those ideas, that's great. If you've got something that you really treasure about the Rockford Public Library, that would be awesome to hear as well. You've just wondered what other people are up to. Here's a few ideas that other people have tried, and we want to get your sense of whether or not it would have meaning to you. So we start with this big notion that libraries are a place for people to get things and to do things. And more, we're familiar with the place to get things. We're going to do a better job of it. But that library as a place to do things is really a new trend. It's an expansion on the place of meeting that many libraries have into a place of learning by hands-on experiences. And a lot of that happens regardless of age. Many of us are familiar with the learn by reading. The library now is an opportunity to learn by watching someone else do something, to observe the tricks, the nuances, and then to practice in the comfort and safety of the library, and then hone those skills in an individual or collaborative setting. That experience ranges from children to senior citizens, from mathematics to art, from music to recording audio histories, to creating videos, to developing digital displays, creating all sorts of very pragmatic, hands-on materials. Learning how to sew is an example, to very creative painting, music production. The range is really limited only by your imagination. We want to think of libraries as a place to increase your ability to secure meaningful employment. We want to think of the library as a place to learn new skills in terms of healthy lifestyle, nutrition. We want to think of the library as a place to create new friendships, to exchange ideas, to talk about the issues of the day. We want to think about the library as a place to really build community. And that only happens when we can come together as people. The notion of the library as a digital-only endeavor is really one that misses a lot of opportunities. So while the library is increasing its connections to the world through digital media, the library is also fostering environments that just make it a desirable location. The library as a portal into a world of digital resources is still true. The library spends a lot of effort curating those services and making them available to the community, but there's no substitute for coming together as individuals within a communal setting. And the idea behind many of the library spaces is to provide an opportunity to share our life stories and to help learn from each other as much as from the collections that the library has gathered. So when you think about libraries, think of them as community meeting rooms, community living rooms, perhaps the community family room. In some ways, this hands-on aspect of learning really makes the library the community's kitchen. Sometimes it is literally for cooking, but more often it's just for that hands-on type of learning experience. And the socialization that goes on in the library has tremendous value in terms of fostering relationships within the community and opening doors to our collective future. So when you're trying to imagine these kinds of spaces, think of anything from the latest and greatest displayed in an enticing way on face-out shelving, nice wide aisles. You don't have to bend down and pick things off the bottom shelf. It's light, bright, open, airy, inviting. And if you want to browse through a book, there's plenty of places to sit and flip through the latest and greatest. It ranges from that to walking next to a giant dinosaur skeleton, to engaging with an astronaut who's flying overhead, to talking to an artist who's creating work within the library building. It's an opportunity to think about all of the ranges of interests that you and your neighbors have and ways to explore those in a meaningful way. One of the greatest assets that the library has is its staff. There's relationships with other organizations in the community, And the hope is that the library can facilitate those connections that will add value to your life. The last thing we want to talk about is this notion that buildings define limits, and the notion that you enter a library when you pass through a door, or you leave the library when you go back out. The idea behind your library, especially given the location, is to extend the utility of the library, the experience of the library, out beyond those doors, whether it's a connection to the street, to the square, to the River District neighborhood, to the river itself. The idea is that the library experience can occur almost anywhere in town, and certainly anywhere adjacent to the site of the new library. So when we think about the library, we're thinking about that broadest range of physical presence that the building can have within the community. And so as you contemplate some of the ideas that you want to share with us, think about the site, think about its connection to Wyman, think about its connection to the river, think a little bit beyond that, think about the potential that the roof of the building has, and then think about all of those spaces that go into the libraries that you've been in, other great spaces that make you comfortable, places where you're really comfortable having a conversation, whether in depth or just casual and pleasant. Think about the spaces where you've learned the most in your life. Think about the places that really forge the greatest memories for you. Those are things that help make a building supportive of the educational and recreational mission that this library has in serving you. It's a big challenge to think about a library that will serve the community for generations to come. We are really relying on all of you to give this some serious thought. We're going to be shaping the lives of your children and your grandchildren. So as you contemplate those lives, think about all of the ideas that you have to bring to the table and help us create something that will be truly memorable for many people for many years to come. So thank you.